Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 281 for Christmas Eve 2014, the best of the year. This Week in Google is brought to you by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you'll have many more happy holidays as you grow and protect your wealth with this award-winning financial app. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/twig. Hey, it's Leo Laporte, your elf on the shelf. Yes, it's once again that time of year where we give everybody the week off and we let you watch reruns. But these are special reruns, the best moments of 2014 from This Week in Google. I love doing This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis, he's such a brainiac, an expert on media, a deep thinker on Google, a deep thinker on issues like privacy and the right to be forgotten and all of that, and Leistungsrecht and all that stuff. And of course, Gina Trapani, who doesn't love Gina? We're all in love with Gina, a developer, a brilliant mind, a Google expert. You couldn't find two better people to anchor This Week in Google, and we have some great clips from this year's shows. Let's start off with a little rant. Jeff Jarvis, apparently he doesn't like local TV news. In particular, one thing that local TV news does. Let's watch.
All journalism is telling a story about something that happened so that people understand it better, right?
Well, that's one form of it. I think the other forms include data.
I shouldn't say that to the professors here. They probably will spank me for saying that. But it strikes me that that's what we need. Is we need the story. We understand things in terms of story. Humans do.
Many of my professors would say the same thing. I argue that stories are only one tool we have, and we're not primarily storytellers.
What's the other story? What's the other way to do it?
Data. Tools
yeah, but
that get
raw
access
data
to data
is not as valuable as. In fact,
depends
that's
what you're looking for.
If you give me the raw data, that's one thing. If you explain the raw data, i.e., tell a story about it.
I'll give you an example. After Hurricane Sandy, or tomorrow, after whatever Weather Channel is calling the next storm to hit Gina, we'll get stories. You know what the stories will say? I could write them right now. Gosh, a lot of snow fell. City digging out. On TV, they're going to put rulers in the snow and say, guess what? It adds up over time. They're going to tell us all this,
So
crap
what would you like?
we know. I want a tool that says what streets are open, what streets are closed, and I want that data to come from.
Is that journalism?
Yes, you bet it is. It enables the community to share what it knows. That's journalism.
Okay.
Would you agree, boss?
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of some of the thinking that we're doing right now is should we be teaching our students how to be community organizers, basically to engage individual communities and help provide information that helps them organize themselves. And
that's very interesting.
That's sort of a new.
But that's a broader definition than the traditional.
It is.
Yes.
With nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't.
I mean, I've been writing this.
That's a librarian.
No, it's a platform maker.
That stopped us in our tracks. Who you calling librarians?
Mister.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we want to destroy some things. Part of the reason that I wanted to bring, especially Sarah here, was to look at the wonders that are Twit and reinventing TV news, which I think is vital.
Well, I'm never doing another stand-up. I can tell you that after reading your blog.
There's a very funny Fox 5 video on there of a guy who I think it's the top one.
Because you got interviewed by Fox.
By Fox 5 New York about the stupid things they do in weather stories.
I'm surprised that they wanted to do that story, to be honest with you. But that seems self-defeating.
Yeah.
Chad will have to play it. I don't have the capability of playing videos back in.
Yeah, what happened to your laptop?
My daughter has it.
Ah, okay.
She's using it for work.
During the Chrysler presidency.
This is an ad, unfortunately. But
sorry about that. I should have warned you, Chad.
It's all right. I like Dwight David Eisenhower. I particularly liked Robin Williams' rendition of Dwight David Eisenhower in The Butler. Did you see that?
No.
Very weird. That's not the first person I'd have Robin Williams play.
Even we get sick of hearing our own voices sometimes. Local news really can be a bit much. We know that.
This is a local news guy.
You know what we are talking about, obviously. There are silly stories, pointless live shots, endless cliches, and then there's Joel Waldman.
Joining us from outside our building. Perfect.
I couldn't resist. You're perfect for the story.
Putting the hand to the earpiece so we can hear the anger.
What's the lower third?
Joel,
Inside?
Outside.
I didn't see that.
In case you weren't
Stephen
clear
Derry, I
about it.
love putting my hand up to my earpiece here, otherwise known as an IFB for all of you at home who didn't know this. Look behind me over here at Fox 5 News. There's absolutely nothing going on right now. So we decided to turn it all around, forego Snowmageddon, and tell all you concerned citizens at home exactly what annoys you and us most about this job.
Time. We never have enough.
A shocking revelation. Thanks, local news. If you think it isn't, think again. Time is valuable.
Honestly, who has time to waste?
Maybe you do if you're watching this right now. For the first time ever, in this exclusive local news story, we ask the tough question. Does news ever annoy you? We put CUNY professor Jeff Jarvis on the hot seat to give this story at least an ounce of legitimacy.
Doing a story about local TV news is a bit navel-gazing, but it's a good start because it shows me that you're willing to ask the tough questions about what's annoying about TV news.
Like sticking rulers.
Almost an inch and a half.
Not an inch and a half, and please, no more wicked winter weather gimmicks. Thanks for that cliche, reporter man. And please stop, reporter woman.
I've got this wind meter right here. The winds are literally ripping across.
If you think this station had enough reporters covering its city's severe weather its first night, this was the second. At times in news, we come across another chilling reality. Reporters stretching the truth.
Are these holy men walking on top of water?
Holy smokes, a canoe in just a few inches of water. But I've never wanted to knee anchors as badly as during these recent blasts of cold Arctic air.
All right, we get the idea. We don't have to keep going.
Give me Will Ferrell.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, that's funny. I don't think they're going to stop doing stand-ups. I would defend the stand-up, but
okay. I try.
Well, again, this comes. And I understand now why you guys don't want to accept the fact that really what we are is storytellers, because that allows some subjectivity to creep into it.
Subjectivity is great.
You want
I love subjectivity.
But the fact is, the human brain wants people. They want faces. They want pictures. This is one of the reasons why I was reluctant to do video. Video is. It's very clear to me the audio is intellectual. It's abstract. It's ideas. Video is all about emotions. Video wants pictures and so for television news to abandon the stand-up would be what do you get? You get the McNeil Lehrer news report, news hour. You get the PBS
but
news
you
hour.
also could get more information. You get more value.
Well, but people don't. I got bad news for you. People don't want that.
The
so
example.
What is the job of the journalist to are we the Brussels sprouts of media, or are we here to help people understand stuff in a way that is palatable? I would rather be a Egg McMuffin with some broccoli in there than to be just the broccoli on the plate.
I can't think of any food analogy here, but I mean, it's not. Again, it's sort of not one thing or the other. You know, I mean,
you go right ahead and be deep data. I don't care.
No, I mean, it's a mix of things. There's sometimes when I want to analyze data. There's sometimes when I want to have a story that moves me. There's sometimes when I want some deep, complex analysis. There's sometimes when I want breaking news. I mean, those are all forms of journalism. They're all critical.
I'm just saying you understand why local news has a ruler in the snow. That's real.
Yeah. I get that.
It tells people what's going on.
But
here's a wind meter.
Here's the example. Here's the example.
They shouldn't lie about a rowboat in 3 inches of water. That's stupid. That is bad.
But there's also stupid. I have pictures on the blog of people standing up in front of the George Washington Bridge in the Christie scandal we have in New Jersey.
Right.
There's no journalism to be had there.
No,
right?
of course
There's
not.
no officials there. There's no victims there. There's no sources there.
If you do TV, I'm sorry, you have to have pretty pictures.
You don't think Chris Christie's pretty?
No. Yeah, he's pretty. I would have a picture of Chris Christie. In fact, I'd have him on there, of course. You want TV.
Give you another example.
You have as soon as you go to video, you have a responsibility to fill the screen with something, and you might as well make it pretty.
Ooh, well, okay. So there's a jury out in a trial.
Doesn't mean you can't have solid information. So what I think is very important, and I know you guys teach this, is that there be this very solid foundation of journalistic ethics where you don't make up stories, you don't fudge things, you don't attempt to prove a point by editing. You care most deeply about communicating to your audience the truth about a story, to give them the information they need to make the judgment that they need to make as good citizens.
And you do the things that are in the service of that.
Yes, all of that we agree, and that is the foundation
of
what you teach.
Right.
So all we're disagreeing about is how you present it, and I would say that sometimes you want to present it with a little bit of.
But here, I'll give you another example. So the jury's out in a trial. I use this example in the blog, and what do? The anchor says the trial's going on. This is what happened in the trial. Now we're going to go to the Gina Trapani in the paneled courtroom. Gina Trapani is going to say, in that closed door behind me, there's a jury. We don't know what the F they're doing. I actually have nothing to say to you. But, yeah, the trial's going on. It's about this and that and that. Now back to you. The anchor comes back and says, we'll tell you as soon as we hear anything. All of which can be summarized in, jury's still out. For more, go to the web. Oh, yeah. And then they could get another story in. They get more value in. It's a waste of precious journalistic resource. The reporters don't report. They are props.
Well, I would question whether how precious that resource is. There's a lot of people that you could put out there with the camera operator. That stuff's not precious. That's what TV news does. And I would just say that if you did this imaginary TV news station that you would like to do, no one would freaking watch it. And part of your mandate is not merely to tell the truth and get the story out, but to get somebody to watch it.
But nobody's watching it now. No. I mean, the numbers.
Well, that's only because there's other places you can have people standing.
Right, but
in front of a door.
I don't know. You have kids. I have kids.
Yeah.
They don't watch.
They watch YouTube.
They watch any news that they're getting. They're getting on the laptop.
That there's stuff on YouTube that is any less. YouTube's full of stuff as stupid as the guy standing out there with.
But it's not trying to be news.
No, but it's presentational. If you look at the presentation on YouTube. There's a lot of attention to presentation, otherwise nobody watches it. Watch Epic Mealtime, which has no content.
We have to?
Yeah, has no content. My son loves it because because of what they're seeing and doing. He loves. They're mushing the hamburgers into a giant lasagna.
Here's where I think the conflation of informing and then entertaining is the issue. Now, that's usually said in terms of, it's crappy TV. What I'm trying to say is something different. Is that if I want to read a novel, that's entertainment. If I want to read a long New Yorker story, that's often entertainment. Snowfall, the Times did, that everybody loved, was really, to me, entertainment, because I don't
That was a waste of time. As much as everybody loved it, that was a waste of time.
And money.
And a lot of money. And I would, and this is very not politically correct, I would complain far more about that than some idiot anchor with nice hair standing out in the rain. To me, that is a bigger waste of money and resources that added nothing to the conversation.
And I think there's ways that we could probably inform you. When I had my coffee with Katie Couric.
Did you mention this to Katie? I'd be curious what she thought.
I wanted to know how long it was going to take you to get
I know, it's
that
a while bit.
It was a little bit longer than I thought.
Here we are, the show's almost over.
It's going to be too long this week. And so one thing I said was the one difference I see in going to Yahoo is you don't have to fill a clock anymore. Right? We overfill the clock here at Twit, but you don't have to.
Never had any problem filling the clock. Yeah.
You don't have to fill the clock anymore, and if you want to say what's new in a story, you can do that in a minute 30, and then not have to say anything more until something actually happens. So part of what TV does is think we have to have video because we have to fill an hour. Well, if instead your job is to inform people, maybe you can do that in a minute 30 and you're done.
My experience of television is very different from that. In fact, my experience of television was that we never had enough time, that there was always the urgency to get stuff done in less time, and that hurt TV more than anything else. That's where you edit out the pieces of him downloading the malware, not because you don't want that information, because it takes too much time. There is never enough time in mainstream media.
Then why did they waste so much of it on idiots standing up where nothing happened in the last 12 hours?
I don't think they consider that wasted. I think they consider that the way that they make a palatable product.
That's my problem. That's the orthodoxy of old TV. This is the way we make TV. It's got to be the only way because it's the way we've always done it. And I'm saying I want. You know what you're going to do?
What?
I'm bringing you to New York. We're having an event at CUNY in reinventing TV
we should have a
news.
Debate.
And now I'm going to have you in a hacking TV event.
I feel like I want to argue the case for the average Joe who sits down in front of the TV. And I understand what you need to do on television. You need to make, which we don't do here, but you need to make pretty pictures.
I think you're the proof that you don't need to.
You need to make emotional
You physically are the proof that you don't need pretty pictures.
That's why we have Gina, ladies and gentlemen. Gina Trapani.
Jeff, I thought that you were bringing up Circa was really apt. Circa's that news app. I love it. I barely look at it, but it notifies me when I need, so you can follow a story and it notifies me when there's something new, right? And when there's an update to the story. And I really like that. And I like that your point that, the way that TV news works now is that it's just people explaining the same, the same story. If you have all the background, you're just hearing the same thing repeated over and over and over again. But what you really want is just to know Did the jury come back? What was the verdict?
I'm glad you raised that.
Don't tell me whether or not. Only tell me if they have. Right? I don't want to hear anything else.
We went to visit Circa this week as well, and they make a big point of that, saying that once you already know enough in the story, then all you want is the update. Then you want to follow the story. That's a new opportunity we didn't have in big old news.
You know, Circa came out of Ben Ha of I Can Has Cheeseburger, actually saying, I think we need to rethink how we deliver journalism. In fact, I remember going to food camp. He was there. Were you at that food camp, Gina?
I wasn't. We went back to the cottage and did the show with him afterwards.
Yeah, and I remember
him. He had demoed it. Yeah.
Before he did Circa, he said, I want to talk with you about what's wrong with journalism, what's wrong with news, and how we can do a better job. And Circa, I think, is quite successful. But it's a different thing. I mean, I think connected devices are a little different. They are more goal-oriented than sitting down in front of a television or
Leo,
even watching
you question the orthodoxy of television. You blew up the orthodoxy of television, yet here you are defending it to me.
I am defending it because it works really well. I hate to tell you. But here's the bad news. It's working.
The audience is dying.
By what measure? By what measure is it working?
Well, okay. You would say TV news is that thing that's on the box that comes through the air. I would merely say video news, and I would say YouTube counts. In other words, consuming.
We're redefining
because Circa is very different. So there are ways of getting information via web browser and so forth. But I think what succeeds is people like to. This is why we spent $1.5 million to do this. People like to watch video. They like to. The lean back experience is not a dead experience by any means. And in fact, I will give you the measure. People watch more television now than they did 10 years ago. That's the bad news. The number of hours. Look it up.
Look at the TV news portion.
Well, maybe.
And the age they're up.
And the age of the people who are watching TV news. And the portion of the TV news segments that is actually news as opposed to weather or sports.
Yeah.
It's really
that I agree with.
It's really declining.
Well, that I agree with. But that is
how
the
much of it is
failure of local news. That is the failure of local news. Local news has always been horrific.
Well, that's really what we're focusing a lot on.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I don't think the stand-up is the problem there.
I think the first of many.
I think the biggest problem with that is underestimating the intelligence of your audience. And this comes, again, from many years.
Rulers in the snow.
I have worked for all the networks, and I know they don't want you to think of the audience as intelligent. And that's kind of a mistake, if you ask me, because guess what you get? Stupidity. People. But that's, well, anyway, this has nothing to do with Google. Hi, Gina. How are you? How's Think Up going? I find it annoying. My car's always saying, you're out of gas, you're out of gas. Where do you want to see gas stations? No. I want to keep driving.
Are you one of those horrible people that drives down to fumes?
Yep.
You're also one of those horrible people that also appears 2 minutes before the flight takes off?
If possible. Sometimes that's not always easy to do. But I try. I like to walk in that plane as they're closing the door.
Oh, no.
Wow. You like to cut it close.
2 hours ahead. My mother made me neurotic as hell.
I feel like this has a lot. I'm learning a lot about you too. 5 years later, I feel like this is indicative of,
what about you, Gina? Are you the I'm trying to think it out.
I aspire to be Jeff, but in reality I'm Leo. Like I come late, but I'm like harried and freaked out and like I'm late because I'm
always late for everything. I just show up at, late.
You're the only TV network on earth that doesn't give a crap about the clock.
And I'm proud of that, even though it drives our audience crazy. Drives them crazy. And I don't want to drive our audience crazy. I should do a Mark Zuckerberg. We built this station on the notion that no show should start on time, but now we want to take care of you, our audience.
I'm pretty much never ready to start right at 4, so I'm really glad. Like it was built for me.
Yeah, see, you and I.
This is actually the week after next when I'm going out to Google to do a privacy talk, right? The next Wednesday morning, I either fly back, and I think I would land at 2:30 at Newark, and I live 20 minutes away from Newark Airport. So the Leo would say, no sweat, right? Jeff would say, I'm usually home at least an hour before the show. Something could go wrong. Then I'll be really nervous, and I can't tell anybody because I'm in the air. Maybe I'll stay 2 more days just so I can be on the show. That's the way I think.
They should have on Google now like a setting for that, What kind of person are you? A Jeff
Erotic.
or a Gina?
You're a Jeff or Leo.
Yeah, it's a Neuroses slide.
Yes, you know.
Yeah, slider.
I'm like, you know, it's 15 minutes past showtime, and Skype's like, "Hey, do you want to install updates?" And I'm like, "What could go wrong?"
Sure.
Like,
oh, I did that too.
Yes.
Drives Jack crazy. Yeah, let me just update the Mac right now.
I'll just run an OS 10
I do it
update.
in
Don't go
shows.
big.
Actually, I was so proud because I flew to Colorado to see my son on Thursday last, and I arrived just as the boarding began for my row. Like I walked in. It's just that's what I want.
Yeah, no, that's
This
good.
is why
Right
I'm
there.
so proud that I am now. Here's how neurotic I am. I'm now global services on United.
Yeah.
We go on before the pilots. We go on the first, right? And it's that horrible moment when I used to hate those people. They say, excuse me, I'm global services. Let me through.
Oh, I
Let me through,"
hate those people. Yeah.
I know, I'm obnoxious, right?
Yeah.
So, but even though I know I can be the first to board, I don't have to line up. I don't have to do anything. I still show up early
Good man.
because I'm neurotic.
Remember that demo we saw at Google I/O where they were running Android apps in Chrome OS? That is happening for everybody. So we got 4 Android apps now available to run on Chrome OS. Duolingo, which is a great app.
Love it.
Evernote, SiteWords, and Vine are all available in the Chrome Web Store for Chrome OS users. Okay, so
Have you installed
this is
these, Jeff?
I installed the Evernote, yeah, and it's great. I mean, it works now. That was because I complained before. I stopped using Evernote because it wasn't native on Chrome, and so when my computer died, which is very rare on my Chromebook, but when it did, I lost the material because it wasn't saved to the cloud. Now it does save locally, which is very important, and that means that other applications will do the same thing, and that's a big deal.
So it's the tablet optimized layout, right? Because it's on your Pixel. Your Pixel's touchscreen. So when you launch Evernote, it looks as if it's on a tablet, right? And you can
Right.
touch it to interact with it. You can use your keyboard, obviously, to type into it.
So. Let me call it
And
up
it-
here and.
And it just acts like it's on your Nexus 7.
Well, what's weird
pretty
is
cool.
now I can't find it because I have the Evernote. I have an Evernote web.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been using. So I do use Evernote on it.
Yeah.
I just know I can't save stuff.
You can't in the web. You can.
Right, but I so that's still in my applications, and now I can't find the Evernote.
I didn't get a chance to. I have to steal back the
because
Pixel.
you can't alphabetize the apps on.
I know that really bothers me. You can
does me
drag them
too.
around though, right? Can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, but
you
that's
can
the thing,
drag
like,
them into
I don't
any
have time
order
to
you
go
want.
dragging stuff. I don't have time to drag stuff. What do I have a computer for?
That's what the alphabet's for, to put stuff in order, in some random order based on the first letter of their name. Please. That's why we created the alphabet.
A, B, X, Y, Z, F, G. I don't care anymore.
Speaking of crazy, a man and his wife in Columbus, Ohio, subjected to hour-long interrogation by the FBI because employees at the AMC movie theater saw him wearing Google Glass.
And I didn't believe this story at first, but it's been confirmed since. It's just ridiculous.
This poor guy.
Yeah.
He's been to this theater before. This is Columbus, Ohio. He's been to this theater before. He's an hour into watching the movie with his wife or his partner. He's got glass on. These guys come and grab him and grab glass off of his face and take him into an interrogation room. I'm laughing. It's not funny, but I just can't imagine getting
He blogs. He blogs on the Gadgeteer. It was quite embarrassing. Outside of the theater, there were 5 to 10 cops and mall cops. It was like major bust. First of all, of course, because it's glass, he could have been recording the movie, right?
Sure.
Yes, he could have been.
So,
or he could have been recording it on his phone.
Right.
Or,
I mean, well, but people do that, and you will get. I mean, that is a crime. But
who's going to buy that world's worst video? That's what's so absurd about.
Oh, but they do. I mean, they do. I mean, there's camcorders. People are getting up and down. The sound is terrible, but people do it and people sell it. But is this really a commensurate response? Somebody who's horrors taping a movie, even if he was taping the movie, it takes 5 to 10 police officers to take this man down.
Yeah, I guess this theater had trouble with bootlegging, with people recording movies in the past. So I guess when they were interrogating him, they were saying like, "Hey man, just give up your boss. Like, who you working for? Just give up the guy up the chain, and we'll let you go." And he was saying, "Hey, just plug in my glass to a computer, and you'll see like there's pictures of my wife and my dog on there. I didn't record the movie." And it was an hour or like quite a bit of time passed before they actually looked at glass and tried to see ascertain whether or not he was actually recording.
He writes, "I insisted they connect to the glass and see that there was nothing on it. I also insisted they look at my phone and clear things out. But they wanted to talk first. They wanted to know who I am, where I live, where I work, how much I'm making, how many computers I have at home, why I'm recording the movie, who I'm going to give the recording to. Why don't I just give the guy up the chain because they're not interested in me," over and over. You know, there is something really wrong when federal law enforcement officials are doing the bidding of the Motion Picture Association of America like this. When there's real crimes going on. This is ridiculous.
You know, if you're going to question him, I think there's so much I found disturbing about it. Like, are you going to be ripped out of your seat? Okay. But that you're going to be questioned, you know, without being written your rights, but you're not actually under arrest, but you're clearly being detained. Technically, he should have been able to walk out at any time he wanted to.
They said that. They said you're not under arrest, but if you choose not to cooperate, bad things may happen.
Right, and really, at that point, you can say, well, then bring on the bad things because I'm leaving unless you want to arrest me or whatever. But so there are all these things, but what was disturbing to me was that there's no technical expertise. If you're going to go after somebody, and these people, some of them, when they seem to have some knowledge of the bootlegging, how it's going on or whatever, and you see that someone has these Google Glass, you think you would at least Google a little bit of information about them.
Or at least...
in short order, you'd understand things like, well, you're going to get maybe 45 minutes of the movie recorded, you know? Or if he is telling you, well, you can take a look if you want or whatever with it from there, then do it.
Right. He said they released him 5 minutes after they checked. Once they went through my phone, and 5 minutes later, they concluded I had done nothing wrong and offered him 4 passes to another movie at the theater. There is a lesson to be learned here, though. Don't wear your glass into a movie theater.
No, there's a lesson to be learned not for that guy, but for stupid movie theater owners and stupid cops.
No, I disagree, because I think that if you did the same thing, if you held up your phone and did this, or if you had even a camcorder, they would go in and arrest you, and they would be within their rights. That's against the law.
He had prescription lenses attached to his glass. Those are his glasses.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he wears his glasses. Yeah. Yes. You know, it's funny, Leo.
I don't get that. And even the recording device, it's like
the battery lasts 5 minutes.
It's a recording device. It is also your phone. If I'm wearing my smartwatch to the thing, I don't get arrested because it has a recording device.
No, but you would if you held it, pointed at it. And the problem with glass is
if I hold my watch beeps on me and I go to look at it, now my ping's up or whatever, I could be having glass on because I want to sit in a movie theater. For whatever reason, I want to get a notification on email. Right. I want to get a text message showing up so that I know if I'm having a problem with my babysitter or whatever. Just because it has a recording device doesn't mean that it's recording.
But I think this is the fundamental problem with glass, is that it does have a recording device that is pointed at you, and you don't always know if it's recording. Right. It's the same societal problem of going into a bathroom with glass. And people, if you want to have glass take off, you better be very sensitive to this. Right?
You know, Leo, I felt the same way that you did before last night's episode of All About Android, which I'm going to plug right now, because we had a guest on, Cecilia Abadi, who was the woman who was stopped and given a speeding ticket on the road in the San Diego area, but she had glass on while she was driving, and the cop also fined her, or tried to fine her for her wearing glass. And
she
you know,
had to fight it in court and won, by the way.
She had to fight it in court, and she won, right? Because they couldn't prove that she was watching a video on glass, right? Which is what the law prohibits, is that you're looking at the second screen. And you know, my attitude was like, why would you wear glass while driving, or why would you wear glass to the movie theater? That's just dumb. And you know, especially driving, right? Because when you open the package, one of the first things it says is like, hey, this is not lawful to wear while you drive. Like, don't wear. I mean, Google basically says don't wear it while you're driving. But you know, Cecilia really explain like that first of all, she's a CTO of a company that develops glassware. She wears glass all day long. She wakes up in the morning, puts them on, and she's a very dedicated explorer. They're just her glasses. She doesn't think about it anymore.
Right.
She puts them on and wears them. And it sounds like this is the situation with this guy in the movie theater. And it didn't occur to her to take them off while she was driving, and she wasn't, she wasn't watching Netflix on her glass or whatever. She was just driving, and particularly with driving, it's like navigation is a totally legitimate use case for wearing glass while driving. So, I think that the Explorer program, and I said this on the show last night, the Explorer program is very much this sort of like canary in the coal mine thing. I mean, I think that Google is figuring out like where does glass create these issues or these problems. And I think that, movie theater officials and cops on the highway are figuring out what is glass, what is, when they're on, does that mean that they're recording or not? I mean, I think it's just a misunderstanding of the technology. But unfortunately, you have people like Cecilia and this guy in Ohio who have to, be the ones to deal with these sort of legal.
Yeah, I think there's some onus. There's some onus though on glass owners to be aware of the sensitive nature of this. And while I don't care if he's in a movie theater, I do think that glass owners need to put the glass up on their head when they're in a men's room. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a little tone deaf on the part of glass owners to say, "Hey, man, these are my prescription glasses. What's your problem?" You're wearing a recording device in your head. So be aware of that. And some people are going to take umbrage. Some of them will be federal law officials. So it might behoove you just to avoid the problem. Like if that's his only pair of glasses.
Well, he explained quite a bit, actually. There's some other things I was reading on how he has a spare pair, but he's actually been using them as his ordinary pair of glasses.
Well, he needs to kind of wise up.
Well, yeah, but he'd also said that he's been to the theater before, and that people
So he got away with it before. That doesn't mean it's not.
Oh, it's not getting away with anything. Leo, hold on. You and I know.
Yes, it is. Wearing a recording device on your head carries a higher responsibility than not wearing a recording device on your head. Will you not agree to that?
I want to repeat this. A recording device that has like 5 minutes of battery power.
No, I don't care. You're wearing a recording device on your head.
Leo, I would agree with you in general. For example, if I go into a restroom and I am actually wearing glass, I will put them on the top of my head when I walk in. Okay? No, but I'm going to slide them up. It's no big deal.
Then,
it's just living in the world, Jeff. You got people.
Wait. Let's go to that.
Jeff, at the very least, I don't have to worry. I'm going to go, and then they're going to go, and then, But it's like, it's not that big a deal. It's like a polite consideration to do for anybody who possibly might be freaked out.
Hold on. Let me rant back. If you really think that that every man on earth wants to shoot other men's junk, and the only thing stopping them is they don't have a camera on their head.
No, that's not what we're saying. No, that's not what we're saying. You have to be societally sensitive. If you go around with a tape recorder like this, people are going to take umbrage, and rightly so.
You're wearing glasses that have technology on it. Jesus, I mean, is this week in Ludditism? What happened?
I'm just saying that, I can see Leo's point that you might want to think about a bit more when you're using technology that people are not as familiar with and might be a bit freaked about.
I'm asking you to give credit to people that they're not going to suddenly be bad because they have technology attached to their head.
I understand that. I'm not saying that they are. And I'm not even saying this. I'm not saying this guy did anything wrong. I'm saying if
he shouldn't have to act. You're saying he should act as if people should assume that he does.
He should be sensitive to the fact that
saying
people
he should act as if he is virtuous until he does something wrong. You are making him guilty before he's proven guilty.
Like if I'm wearing glass on occasions and I'm sitting at a table with someone, or I'm talking with somebody, or interacting with somebody, I may move it to the top of my head just so they don't think I'm going to be suddenly being distracted. It's the same way that if I'm talking to somebody and I look at my phone while I'm talking to them, that can be interpreted as rude.
Jeff, let me ask you this, Jeff. Are there no places you can envision where it would be inappropriate to wear glass?
That's the issue of wearing it. I don't think it's a matter of inappropriateness. No, I don't think.
So there's nowhere you could imagine somebody wearing glass where it would be appropriate to put them away or to take it off. That's just.
I think it's appropriate.
In every circumstance.
I think it's appropriate to say to someone, "Are you recording?" And it's appropriate to say, "I'm not recording." That's fine.
So if I'm going into a locker room, where there are children changing and I'm wearing glass, I should say, "Hey, I have a right to wear this."
I'm not saying it's about right. I'm saying that you are presuming that because someone is using a technology,
no, I'm not.
The use of it is bad. Yeah, you are. And that's an issue because the knee jerk of the techno panic crowd is that any use of technology, if it could be done bad, it will be done bad by everyone, and none of us should use it. And I'm objecting to that logic.
Jeff, if I carry an axe around and I have no intent to chop anybody, this is for wood. If I carry a gun around, I have no intent to shoot anybody. I use this to shoot deer.
Leo,
are there not things that are just, I mean, maybe legal, but societally, it might be nice if people showed some consideration for other people?
Leo, it ain't far away from you that people drive around with gun racks in the back of their pickups. And if you went up to them and said, I object to you doing that, you shouldn't do that. I want a dash cam on that scene.
No, but I can assure you if they came in here carrying weapons, in fact, you know, you go to Texas, every bar has a sign that says, please don't bring your gun in here.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
But
are they in
gun.
some way
Glass is not a gun.
I'm just saying there are behaviors, there are things you can have, whether you intend to do anything wrong or not, that it would just be polite to take them off.
It's the same discussion. No, the guy's glasses. When I get the new glasses and I get prescription lenses on them, I'm not carrying around an extra pair of glasses and change them all the time. That's my glasses.
Well, I think that I just think this is going to be an issue going forward, and it could be very
the same issue. It was the same argument when cameras went on to cell phones, and it was, oh my God, we can't allow them anywhere near our gyms. How many stories have you seen of sickos taking pictures of gyms? We didn't see it because we're not sicko as a society.
Yeah, but I have to say, if I go in a locker room, I don't go in a locker room like this. Hey, everybody.
No, but if somebody.
But if you're wearing it on your head, it's okay.
Okay, Leo, if they got their phone out and they're texting like this, and the camera could be pointed at your junk, but they're doing this.
Well, I think that's rude. I don't think you should do that. I think that's extraordinarily rude.
When I was at CES, I was in a restroom, and like I said, if I had glass, when I walked in, I probably would have moved it to the top of my head, just not because I'm worried that some guy standing next to me thinks I'm taking a picture of him, but just because the entire bathroom area tends to have some degree of privacy expected into it. So I'm like, for whatever reason, I'll put it there. But as I was in this restroom, the urinals in this restroom, sorry to get too graphic, but
last week we talked about
this particular hotel thought it was funny that above all the urinals was pictures of women making funny faces and pointing down
looking at your junk. Yeah.
So I didn't.
That's
think
in Vegas.
Funny.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
But
how did you?
But I wanted to share that, so I took a picture of it with my regular phone. But before I did that,
how did you see that picture?
I was really careful to make sure
nobody's
no one was
in there.
around.
If somebody's standing at the urinal, you do not take that picture.
I'm not saying you would take a picture then. And I'm not saying that just because I have a camera with me.
But Jeff, we can't tell with glass. Let me just say, as somebody you can. I can tell you're taking a picture.
Okay, glass.
No, but you don't have to do okay, glass. You can wink.
No.
You can. You can go like this and wink. People, you can.
I think you're playing in a techno panic. And so there was no justification for the treatment of this guy in this theater for wearing his glasses that happened to have a camera attached that he was not using.
No, the right thing for the theater to do was to say, I'm sorry, you can't wear your glass into the theater.
No, the right thing to do was to say, remember, sir, please don't use that camera.
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Once again, what faith you have in mankind.
I mean, the reality is if he had actually been recording the movie with glass, it would have been a worse recording if he had a giant camcorder on his shoulder. Because
that doesn't stop people from doing it and selling it.
Yeah, but then he also would have had 45 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
I mean it's just you can't do 2 hours of video.
Okay. So that's like saying, well, I have this camera phone and I'm holding it like this, but you don't have to worry because it only can record, 720p. I mean, I don't think that's really
but I
germane.
I think part of the issue, again, this is a precursor of what's going to come. I think we are going to have glasses that have recording devices in them because they make a lot of sense. So the issue is not going to go away, and it's going to become even more complicated because, if you are having glasses where everything can fit into an ordinary frame, those would be your main glasses. The reason I don't wear glasses when I go to the movie theater, by the way, is because, well, aside from the fact that I don't need them, I like to wear my regular glasses to let me see at distance, right? So what would I do? I'm not going to double stack them or whatever. I don't need them for most things. But, if I had a pair of glasses, or especially around here, sunglasses, I'm desperate for a pair of sunglasses. I use glass here in Newport as my sunglasses. You know, if I'm going out on the paddleboard or something like that, the sunglasses are great. I can take pictures of stuff, and I don't really give it a second thought because, you know, there's a great use case. And so when they become just this ordinary device that you're wearing, it's going to be everywhere. And so then, you know, I don't know what you're going to do at that point. Do you stop everybody who walks into a theater? Because
I'm telling you, this is a rerun. This is a rerun of 1890 and the Kodak camera.
You're not allowed to carry a camcorder into a theater either. I mean, I don't think that that's an unreasonable restriction.
Well, no,
admittedly, they overreacted, and what they did was wrong. But
I think so. To go both ways, I think to what Jeff is saying. When you eventually get to everybody has these recording devices, you get to the point where people start to relax about them and not freak out.
Yes,
and also
and we have our norms.
You'll probably become pretty clear that a movie recorded from someone's head is not going to be as great, you know, even as things improve. But
do you think that we have a legal right to wear glass?
Yes.
Legal right to wear glass.
I have a legal right to carry around a pencil and paper. When Glenn Greenwald's husband was prevented from writing down the name of the agents interrogating him at the border of the UK, I was offended by that you couldn't record something by a mean.
What if I go to a theater with a GoPro strapped to my chest?
Well, no, I mean,
like
a restaurant that says like shirts and shoes, please. You can't. I mean, that's a different thing. I mean, I think if a bar said, you know, no,
and
I don't use the GoPro to see the movie.
That's where the private business has the. So, do you have a legal right to go into a private business wearing glass?
No.
Probably not.
The theater has every right to say you may not wear glass in this theater.
Unless you can prove some, maybe there's like a Americans
handicap.
Yeah,
you're right. ADA says I can wear glass in this theater.
Yeah, I actually have the right to do it. But you know, in most cases, no. A private business probably could prevent you to do it.
Oh, I know
do you have the right to be detained because you're wearing something by law enforcement without being arrested?
Well, no, but that's recent law that says you cannot record a movie, and that is a law. I mean, I think they overreacted, but they have the right to do that. They did not act illegally. Otherwise, there would be a lawsuit going on right now. They did not act illegally.
I'm about to ask my Dvorak moment and ask, did nothing happen this week?
We're moving on. Let's see. In Google land, there is some big news. Europe has said you have the right to be forgotten. A European court said Google must edit sensitive search results. People can ask Google to take stuff off of their index. There are 180 similar cases right now in Spain. This is a very popular thing. In fact, I think it was the EU's privacy czar who first proposed this.
Yes.
Nelly Kroes.
Well, actually,
or whatever.
Nelly, it was the other one.
The other one. So first of all, what is, as you understand it, you are our reporter from Europe, Jeff Jarvis. You've been there, right?
I'm closer.
Yeah, you're closer.
Actually, Gina's closer than I am. She's about 2 miles east of where I am.
What is the right to be forgotten?
The argument is that when something bad about you is online, you should have the right to get rid of this. But clearly that has an impact on the other party's free speech.
Well, what you could do is go to the place where it is. Oh, I guess if like you were, I don't know, there were pictures of you at an orgy that were distributed widely.
Or
the only place you could get it kind of turned off is Google.
Well, the original site.
But if it's like in 100 sites,
if it's spread all over, then you can try to cut access to it, but it's still on those sites.
Google's defense would be, I imagine, well, the Google Search Index merely indexes the state of the internet as it is.
Yes, but the argument that comes back then is, well, what's your algorithm? And we're they always risk this danger of the demand to reveal the algorithm. And how did that end up on top? But this is a really
Can't Google defend that by saying, well, we have PageRank and this is how we use it?
But here's the problem: they don't have a First Amendment. There's
no right to free speech in Europe.
Well, right. There's not the same guarantee in the same kind of absolute way. We had at CUNY on Monday. We gave an award to Alan Rusbridger, the editor of The Guardian, and Floyd Abrams of The New York Times, who defended The New York Times, and the Pentagon Papers case both spoke. And Alan keeps on going on about the need for a First Amendment in the rest of the world. We're the only ones who have one.
It
so
seems
that,
like
that absolute right to speech.
But even more in my opinion, seems to reflect a misunderstanding of technology, a deep misunderstanding of technology. I think the right to be forgotten is a wonderful thing, and I wish it existed, but it doesn't, because you're not eliminating these websites at all.
Well, but it's worse than that, Leo, because what you're really saying is that you're going to control knowledge. It's a Men in Black pen moment, right? And you forget. So you're telling the world to forget something the world already knows.
Right.
That is offensive to the notion of knowledge.
Right.
That says that we're trying to control knowledge. It's mind control. It's propaganda. It's tyranny. All these things lead to that. You would think if anyone in the world has learned this lesson, it's Europe.
All right, but let me put a counter example. So you're a person who doesn't have a lot of a presence on the internet, doesn't participate in the internet. You're just, you don't, that's not part of your life. You don't have a Facebook page or a Twitter page. You've, in fact, never put anything online attached to your name. But somebody, a bad person, decides to write something bad about you. That bad person has a popular website or whatever, and that bad thing gets spread everywhere. That is the entire Google search result for your name is that bad stuff. May even be a lie, may even be libel. What do you do then?
Well, we have a cure for that. That's libel. It's libel law. We already have that legal mechanism. And in fact, in the UK, it's so wacky. People from around the world go to sue on libel there. So there's plenty of mechanism to say something said about you. But the other case is, what if you got arrested for drunk driving 10 years ago, and that's online somewhere, and you say, well, really, it's been 10 years. Can't you just forget?
Right.
But it's public record.
Not in the internet. You can't.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that blaming Google is what's really puzzling.
Well,
to me.
that's the anti-tech part. That's the Luddite moment here.
Because this is just an index of what already exists on the net, and they're saying, well, since we can't delete what already exists, what if we just delete, control your ability to find it? And that's not Google's fault.
No, it's not at all. And again, I still want to come back to this notion of free speech, because in any transaction of information, there are two parties, right? And if you say something bad about me, and I go on and say, well, I just didn't like that, or in the words of this, it's irrelevant, and I make Google take it down, and you have the right to be able to say, no. When I call Jarvis a jerk, it's because he is a jerk. It's because I mean it, and I have a right to call him a jerk. And now that right is being impinged.
So the ruling, which was in Luxembourg, because it's the European Union Court of Justice, was in a case where a Spanish man complained to the Spanish Data Protection Agency. It's interesting they even have such a thing.
Groups, yeah.
That an auction, this is the same country that brought you the Inquisition, just in case you're wondering, that an auction notice of his repossessed home showing up on Google, that infringed his privacy. Now, the company... well, this is a quote from the judges. If, following a search made on the basis of a person's name, the list of results displays a link to a web page which contains information on the person in question, that data subject may approach the operator directly, and where the operator does not grant his request, bring the matter before the competent authorities in order to obtain, under certain circumstances, the removal of that link from the list of results. The judge is conflating the listing of the repossession, which is presumably not just Google's pointing to a page somewhere, but he's conflating that with the Google search result and saying that Google is in fact presenting that information.
They have this idea that Google is the internet, and Google. This is what Eric Schmidt always says, that because Google is the largest entity on the internet, anything that people don't like about the internet, they're going to go after Google for.
Well, this is the biggest issue. The judges said an internet search engine operator is responsible for the processing that it carries out of personal data which appear on web pages published by third parties.
That is so abhorrent.
Well, what if Google took out any extract that said what that content was, but merely a link to the page?
Well, think of it from Google's perspective. Now, they have to become the court of what's right and wrong.
Right, this is
so I come to you and I say, you should take down that foreclosure notice. And then Google says, well, were you foreclosed? Was it true? Is this libelous? Is this wrong? Google can't be the court of hurt feelings.
Well,
Gina, you were going to say?
It's not even practical.
Well, this is hard. I mean, I'm going to try and take it from the other perspective. I mean, I think in these situations, I try not to think about it necessarily from the perspective of Google, but maybe from the perspective of someone who has a genuine issue. I mean, I don't know. What if when Etta grows up, she doesn't like the things that I wrote about her, the pictures that I published, of her when she was a child. She wants to be defined, other than how I defined her, or worse. You have those sites where like ex-boyfriends publish, private photos of their girlfriends.
That's a better example because that's so obviously harmful.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I don't think that Google can, decide what's right and wrong and decide what's fact and what's not. But the truth is, I mean, it is kind of privacy through obscurity. If it's not listed in the first page of your Google search results or the first few pages, it might as well not exist. People can't find it. Or if someone's been doxxed and their address and social security number has been published somewhere for some reason. It feels like there are so many instances where an individual who can't necessarily, practically reach out to all these third-party websites and ask them to remove, private and, embarrassing, potentially harmful information, like doesn't have any recourse. So I'm trying to figure out,
Gina, wasn't there? I'm reaching back into my too elderly memory right now. But wasn't there a feature on some search engine or some such somewhere once that allowed you to annotate things and say that there was a response? There was more of a right to response than a right to erase.
You remember that? There should be a right to do anything to the Google index.
Well, you mean like trackbacks, that kind of thing?
No, it wasn't that. It was that there was some kind of chat room. Am I crazy? Wasn't there a moment where there was an effort to be able to add on to search results? Search results.
And I guess my question is the solution for an individual what Schmidt suggested that we just have to change our names if we want to reinvent ourselves? I know it was a joke, but if I'm an individual who has a history of whatever well documented online, I'm trying to reinvent myself. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be a different person, and I can't get that information out. I mean,
the solution is a more tolerant society. The solution, and sorry it's this big, the solution is a more tolerant society that recognizes that we all do things that we were mistakes. We all do things that we're ashamed of at some point. We all learn lessons and learn life as we go on in our one attempt at it. And this idea that off with your head if you do one thing wrong at one point, or if somebody doesn't like that you're gay, that's the larger issue is tolerance. But we can't solve that through trying to sanitize Google of things some people don't like. Or so fine, Gina, take Google out of it and now just say the internet. Okay? So now say that you said something about me that I didn't like at some point. I said something stupid like I like Wave. And as a technology genius on this show,
Gina wishes I would never mention that book again.
So just because I don't like it, can you come to me and say that you have to take down what I don't like?
I mean, so there's the internet, and then there's most people's lens into the internet. And I think Google search results are most people's lens into the internet. Does the book? If you can't find the book in the library, if it's not in the in the Dewey Decimal System, if it's not in the catalogs, like no one can find it. Sure, it exists, but it's look, the reality is that employers and clients and mothers and siblings all Google people, right? That's what you do. You Google people to find out something about them, and there might be a time when I get it. I get it's a tough issue.
But the next step of this is that if Google can be forced to take it down, then any and every site, including us, will be forced to take things down, and we'll be held liable in Europe if we say something. If I say something, Herr Schmidt is a dork, and now Herr Schmidt can go to the EU court and say, you must take that down, Mr. Jarvis. And I said, no, he's a dork. And this just proved it because you went to the court to ask me to take it down. No, I don't like this. It is irrelevant to me. You must take it down. That impinges upon my speech. I just can't get past that.
What if something's verifiably untrue? Someone says something verifiably untrue about Leo, but
well, it happens all the time.
It happens all the time, right?
So I understand both sides, but I think that it's like saying, well, let's just not have an internet because then this is a problem. And I think that unfortunately, punishing Google for this is, first of all, is ineffective. It seems misdirected. I understand what you're saying, Gina, that it's the card catalog, and if you take the book out of the card catalog, it doesn't matter if it's in the stacks.
But even if you look at things like the knowledge graph, I mean, Google has taken upon itself, the idea that it's this repository of facts, that you can ask it questions and it will give you answers. What if something is the wrong answer? If something is untrue, I mean, do they become the arbiter of truth at some point?
Truth is a very hard standard.
Well, and that's a problem, is that this puts them in the position to do that, right? They now have to be a judge. I mean, Boy, this is a tough one. I don't know what the answer
it's tough. It's tough. And I actually tend to agree with both of you. I'm just trying to I like to try to take the perspective of kind of the person who's less empowered. I think this is less about, someone calling someone a name and more about someone who's in a position where information about them, which is either untrue or which is truly private or should be private,
But that's what Leo's point is, I think, Gina, is that the horse is out of the barn, the cat out of the bag. We're in a world now where knowledge passes around quickly, information passes around quickly, and all in all, I want that, and it comes with a price. So we also have to teach people to check things first. We have to teach people that they do have to go online and say something in response. We have to recognize that people make mistakes early in life. These are new realities, and trying to hold back the technology isn't going to work. And so we have to deal with that reality, I think.
And meanwhile, you have the freedom to annoy in New York. Did you know about that?
Yeah, you got a problem with that?
The right to be forgotten. I have a feeling we won't get to forget that issue too quickly in 2015. In fact, I feel like we've just opened up a can of worms here. Keep watching This Week in Google for our analysis. Our show today brought to you by good friends at Personal Capital. This is a great time of year to start thinking about your future. In fact, if you've made a resolution for 2015, exercise more, eat better, I hope one of those resolutions is to make sure that the money you put away for your retirement, for your future, is being responsibly cared for. It's kind of up to us to take care of ourselves in our old age. That's why I suggest you sign up for Personal Capital. It's free, it's easy, and it'll give you a dashboard that shows you exactly how your money's doing. Take all your accounts, your mortgage, your checking, your savings, all your assets, and most importantly, your investments. You put them into personalcapital.com, and now you're going to get a single page on your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, even your phone that'll show you exactly how you're doing. They even have an Android Wear app, which means you're going to get alerts and updates if things start happening to your investments. Now, a few things you'll learn from this. It certainly helps you with budgeting, planning for the future, but you'll also find out, for instance, if you're paying too much in fees, if you're kind of frittering away that money you worked so hard to earn and you stowed away in your savings or your investments accounts, if it's getting kind of dwindling away because of paying too much in fees, that's not good. And you may not even know it. Personal Capital will give you some awareness on this. They can also help you rebalance your investments for your goals for the future. Make sure everybody's got unique needs. Make sure your needs are being met. Personal Capital will help you do it. It's best of all, it's free and it's easy, and you could sign up right now. Make this your New Year's resolution for 2015. Go to personalcapital.com/twig. I use it every day. Even if you don't move your money around a lot, which I don't, it gives you a great sense of well-being to know that you're doing the job right, you're paying attention, and that your money is growing it appropriately. It's well worth it. And again, it's free. Personalcapital.com/twig. Please do me a favor for 2015. Set it up, try it, do it. You will thank me later, maybe when you retire. Now, let's get back to work. This is a very hot topic for us, has been all year long. It's the notion that while the internet brings us so many wonderful benefits, it also can give rise to some unhealthy and undesirable behavior. I'm talking about trolls. Watch.
What is a troll?
All right, I love that question because when I've been writing about trolling this week, and by the way, I have to say that the reason I wrote that column, the reason I've been writing about trolls is because of last week's This Week in Google got me thinking about it and that sort of thing. So that was a really great conversation last week. But a lot of people don't know what a troll is. And essentially, people think that somebody who sort of pesters somebody or, is a troll, which I don't believe it is, or somebody who's one troll, I got in a big argument with them on Google+. They were saying a troll is anybody who wants to be an influencer. And that's absolutely not true. To me, and let's see if you guys agree or disagree with this definition, a troll is somebody who either who deliberately creates emotions in the minds of other people that in a conversation to either hijack the conversation and get attention on themselves, or to get a sort of sociopath kind of thrill out of upsetting and disrupting a constructive conversation. That's my definition of what a troll is. And I think people use the word troll very broadly and unnecessarily. I think the trolling phenomenon is something very specific and very real.
Mike, I think that's good. I just put up a link to a piece I wrote on Medium in which and Leo, am I allowed to say out loud the spelled out a whole word?
Yes.
Okay. So, because it's a book title. So in Assholes a Theory, which by the way, I assigned in a curriculum for our new degree. That was one of my favorite moments, was to assign that book. Aaron James defines that person, right? And he talks about the motive. So then what I did was then I argued what distinguishes a troll from a mere asshole. And I believe it's that he, and as I pointed out, it's usually men, 1, has a target, 2, seeks to get a response, a rise out of the target, and 3, believes he is acting out of some ordained moral principle to destroy or to bring down his target.
Okay.
That's my definition of a troll.
I'm going to read one from 1999 from alt.troll. This has been going on for so long on Usenet that they actually have alt.troll, and this is a definition. What is trolling? The use of the word trolling comes from the fishing technique where a baited hook, this actually might be useful to understanding this, is dragged through the water in an attempt to attract or catch a fish. Usenet trolling is the act of posting an article or troll a Usenet news group with the intention of attracting the native inhabitants and provoking an emotional response, at which point they're caught as a fish would be caught. The phrase was originally coined as trolling for flames. That's the historic origination. The poster's intention was to incite a flame war, which I think is actually really more to the point. I don't want to impute an intent on a troll except that they get off in some way on the resulting carnage.
They've made a difference.
And this, by the way, the kind of discussion we're having is exactly what a troll wants. So here's the definition of troll from alt.troll. It's convenient that the word troll has multiple meanings. Aside from the fishing example above, troll is also the name, obviously, of a mythical creature, generally thought of as ugly, fat, cantankerous, wart-covered, smelly, and completely unlikable. That's a troll. Since trolling is thought of as a detestable and unsavory activity performed by loathsome, contemptible hooligans, I think that's another good way.
I like sociopaths.
Yeah, the name troll fits them quite well. There are 2 troll species. Those with overactive minds constantly seek out new sources of mental stimuli. I say they want negative attention.
I would even go further and say that there are some trolls who don't know that they're trolls.
Oh, many trolls do not know that. And then there are those who are permanently disgruntled or physically shortchanged in some way and seek out ways to compensate for their shortcomings through vicious personal attacks against others in order to achieve a mental erection.
Wow. That was, I was going to say there was a more, I think that's the most distinct I've heard.
The 90s was a crazy time, man.
But this is not new to the internet. These kinds of flame wars and trolling started with Usenet.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we talked about a study a couple months ago here, and I put up the link on the rundown chat from February, in which the most succinct definition of a troll you can possibly find is a sadist.
Right. It came down to that ultimately they were sadists. To wit, they got pleasure out of causing others pain.
Yeah.
And if you look at what happened to Zelda Williams, that's precisely what happened.
That's precisely what happened.
It's somebody got pleasure out of knowing that they were causing extreme pain.
Their only interest in her was that she was vulnerable to having pain inflicted upon her.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a really, interesting problem. I don't know what the answer is.
Google Plus.
I always said.
Your answer to everything is Google Plus.
Works for me.
It is. And a pizza oven.
But again, I think Jeff is a perfect. Jeff is so prolific on Twitter, and yet where is the trolling on Google Plus? So Jeff has these amazing conversations on Google Plus.
There's plenty of trolling on Google Plus.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's a non-factor.
You can delete it.
But the people who he's interacting with are not seeing that trolling. That's the difference.
And Mike's saying another point is that there are platforms where you don't bother. That was Mike's real point of this.
I have a different experience. I had a troll on Google Plus, deleted and blocked. The person was able to make new accounts, to repost, to get others to repost. It turns out even if you delete and block a post, the link is a permalink, so he was able to recover that. If you're persistent, you probably can. Now, whether they get any traction is another matter. I think you're right. It's difficult to get traction on Google Plus.
If someone on Google Plus writes about you, Leo, not replies, but writes about you, to the way that someone might on Twitter might mention you, you can't control that, right? I mean, we're back to the kind of the same. I mean, the main difference between Google Plus and Twitter, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you can delete comments on your posts.
That's what Mike's talking about.
There are 3 or 4 differences. So one of them is you can delete comments, in which case if they check, they can see that the comment was deleted. You can flag comments, in which case the troll thinks that their message is still there, but nobody can see it.
Oh, I like that.
And they have and they have blocking and they have reporting, and Google tends to be more responsive to reporting than Twitter tends to be if you're not famous or a celebrity or if it's not something big in the news. And here's another one that I never hear anybody talking about. Let's say, for example, that Jarvis is not following me, and I have a troll who's targeting me on Twitter, and I want to contact Jeff, but he's not following me. So I send a public Twitter message. That's the only way for me to reach Jeff on Twitter. The trolls can see that I'm interacting with Jeff, and then they can go after Jeff, pretend to be me, do all kinds of trouble like that. On Google Plus,
which just happened today. Exactly happened today. I got 5 Mike Elgin trolls coming after me this afternoon.
Really?
Yeah, me too, on Twitter. Yeah.
I did.
Wow.
And I blocked them all.
Yeah. But on Google
By the way,
Plus,
that's all the same person. I'll point that out. It's one person that does.
But on Google Plus, you can contact anyone, including a stranger, in totally out of the eye of trolls. You simply @mention them. They get the private message, and it's a great way to contact people. It's unless of course they've set it up so that you can't be contacted. So that's yet another way to do it. But the sum total of all those things on Google Plus lends itself to you cultivating a community with 0 trolling in that community, in your community.
We are creating a society online, and we have to decide, and we're creating a couple things at once. Code is law, says Larry Lessig, and the code of Google, of Twitter, is its law. The code of Google Plus is its law. We're also creating norms. And my argument about this stuff is that every time you egg on a troll, you are trolling. You are an accessory to the crime. You are just as bad. If you say, fight, fight, you're just as bad.
It's been our experience that the best thing to do is just go, give them nothing.
I know, but then in essence, the trolls have won. The trolls have won because well, that's what everybody said is, don't go after this guy, don't do anything. No, in essence, he keeps going and going and going.
Well, I think you've created a Streisand effect here, though, Jeff.
I understood that. But I finally just had it.
I think the norms argument can only be taken so far. I mean, look at the Louis C.K. routine where he talks about what a horrible person he is when he's driving compared to when he's in an elevator. The situation will always, he's talking about how he's screaming like horrible things at people when he's driving, but, when you're standing right next to somebody, you'd never do that. I think that affects lots of people.
Responsibilities.
Yeah.
We both have responsibilities, and I don't think it's sufficient. I think that's, so you're right, Mike. The code creates an environment that brings certain behaviors and discourages others. But then we within that environment can choose to behave well or badly.
Yeah.
And so what I'm really asking here, and what you guys are trying to answer, and Gina is trying to answer here, is, can we create a better society that we're building? And or do we give up, or do we just say, the trolls are going to be there, and that's that, and people are going to be abused, and that's that. And
well, one thing we don't want for sure is an internet community where there are no women participating because they can't participate safely, and that would be a horrific effect.
No vulnerable people.
No vulnerable people of any kind.
Yeah,
right.
And that's Zainab's point about Ferguson and Twitter, is the fact that it was open, the fact that it couldn't be controlled by an algorithm, or the fact that it couldn't be controlled by other people, is what let Ferguson trend up to the point they got on media. So I'm fully recognizing the value of Twitter being open, and it's a question I'm not answering. Does that doom it to be? Is that as a social network? Is it doomed to be antisocial?
Yeah. By the way, from the definitions we've heard here, Upworthy could be considered a troll. Most radio talk show hosts could be considered a troll. I mean,
I would disagree with that.
Is link baiting a form of trolling?
No, I don't think it is.
No.
I don't think it is, because the idea is to disrupt somebody else's conversation.
So it's more targeted and vicious.
If you want to start your own annoying conversation.
It's not, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
It's
disruption. If you set up an entire radio station that's all about screaming political, venom, then that's not, you're not disrupting anything. You're creating your own cesspool, right? But if you go into somebody else's constructive conversation, you wreck it deliberately. That's trolling.
Yeah. Internet trolls really are horrible people.
Okay.
Science says. New research conducted by Aaron Buckles of the University of Manitoba and 2 colleagues sought to investigate whether people who engage in internet trolling are characterized by personality traits that fall in the so-called dark tetrad: Machiavellianism, psychopathy, sadism, and narcissism. Turns out not so narcissistic, but really sadistic. What they did is they surveyed these people and asked if they enjoyed what they enjoyed most when online comment sites, online comment sites, debating issues that are important to you, chatting with others, making new friends, trolling others, and other. And among the people who said they enjoyed trolling, it was a small number, only 5.6%. They really had personality traits for sadism, particularly. And you can read the study. It's
that's why you don't feed the trolls.
You don't feed the trolls. Both trolls and sadists, they wrote, feel sadistic glee at the distress of others. Sadists just want to have fun, and the internet is their playground. So
I'm working on some curricula, which I'll not talk about today, but talk about another time, involved with engagement in journalism. And I had the great delight of including in the required reading, if I may use this word, Assholes a Theory.
That's a scholarly paper?
Yes, it's a book. It's a book. It's a very good book.
It's a book.
Yeah, it's a book.
And what is the theory of assholes?
Just kind of why they do what they do.
Yeah. Well, it fits right in, I'm sure.
It does. I mean, and if you're going to deal with the public, you have to know this stuff now.
Because the behaviors are this is the conclusion of the study. Because these behaviors are intrinsically motivating for sadists, comment moderators will likely have a difficult time curbing trolling with punishments. For example, banning users. Ultimately, the allure of trolling may be too strong for sadists who presumably have limited opportunities to express their sadistic interests in a socially desirable manner.
I mean, is sadism ever socially desirable?
No.
It's more like socially acceptable. You couldn't do in real life what you can do online.
So now you can do it. And it's drawing them in. Machiavellianism, a little bit. Machiavellianism is the willingness to manipulate and deceive others. Narcissism, not so much. Egotism and self-obsession. Psychopathy, the lack of remorse and empathy. But the big one was the pleasure and the suffering of others. That's really the...
That's why if you are suffering at the hand of a troll, you do not let the troll know that's
right,
that's
because that's what they dig.
Exactly.
That's what they're going for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it also says that if you, and I was the big defender of comments early on in newspapers, and I've said this on the show before, where the first problem with comments is it's inherently insulting to the public to say, we will allow you to comment after we're done with our work. We should be more collaborative. But the other problem with comments is that it is just an open space. It was true of forums before. It was true of Newsnet before. An open space, trolls will go and find it and find the opportunity to have this behavior there. And if it doesn't have a purpose, you're going to have this trouble.
See, and we've talked about this before, is why I bring this up. And I was of the opinion that these are people who were seeking negative attention because they'd received this as children, and they had misinterpreted it as love. I was giving them a lot of benefit of the doubt. No, it turns out they're just cruel sons of bitches. They're really, no, there's not. They're nasty people. In their study, they found that only about 41% of internet users, actually 41% of internet users don't comment, don't engage online at all. Of the remaining, 59%, only 5.6% are trolls. So it's a small, really, it's a few percentage points. It's maybe one or two in 100.
That's all you need.
And we know this. We know that part.
Yeah.
But boy, those 1 or 2% are really effective because they just push those buttons. They have a test they call GATE, the Global Assessment of Internet Trolling, and then they ask things, on a scale of 1 to 5. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? I have sent people to shock websites for the lulz. Anybody in the chat room? Have you ever sent people to shock websites for the lulz? I'm not talking Rickrolling. I'm talking goatsy, that kind of thing. I like to troll people.
Well, somebody we know and respect once famously did that.
Who's that?
Anil.
Anil? Anil Dash?
He wore a goatsy T-shirt that appeared, I believe, in the New York Times.
In the New York Times, yes.
Right?
Well,
and boy, and typical for Anil, anything he does, even that, turned into an intellectual discussion.
Oh, of
right?
course, of course.
Yes,
but the New York Times photographed him with the T-shirt on, not knowing what it was, and published the photo. I mean, that was the prank. It was a stylized. It was not clear. It was not the actual photo. Yeah.
But presumably, some people typed in the URL. Right?
Boy, did that cause a discussion at the time.
It did.
Oh, my Lord.
First time I did a live twit, we did it at the Apple Store, and somebody sat down in the audience and hijacked the Wi-Fi router so that all web searches went to goatsy.
Oh, jeez.
And it was really interesting. And if you don't know what goatsy is, just ask your mom. But it was really interesting because you could see the waves of horror and disgust propagate through the audience as people...
I shouldn't laugh.
And then, but we found him because he's sitting there chortling. It was very easy to figure out who it was.
Well, I mean, aren't there whole blogs dedicated to like taking a photograph of the moment that a person sees?
Yeah.
Right? I mean...
I like to troll, true or false, I like to troll people in forums or the comment sections of websites. Trolls, it turns out, are pretty forthright. They say, yeah, I'm a troll. Yeah, I like to do that. I enjoy griefing other players in multiplayer games. Here's one. This one. The more beautiful and pure a thing is, the more satisfying it is to corrupt.
Think about Weave.
Poor Weave. Now he's self-declared troll, right? He's off. He got off, but on a technicality. But he was the guy who was downloading email addresses of iPad users by discovering a flaw in the AT&T database website.
I mean, he's also the guy that trolled Kathy Sierra.
Oh, he is. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, and he was horrible. He was horrible to her.
Horrible.
And that's what that last sentence made me think of. The more the more beautiful and pure a thing is.
So no wonder there's such mixed feelings about him getting off. Now I understand. I mean, he's a self-proclaimed troll, and I guess he really, really is. Let me show you this picture, because we were talking last week about Inbox, which is the Google email program. Gina very kindly did pull some strings to get both me and Jeff Inbox, and we both. I love it. We'll have to ask you how you love it. But as soon as we talked about it, look at the tweet, because we were speculating. I bet these guys are watching as we talk about it. Yep.
Oh, nice.
There is the Inbox team watching us talk about Inbox with beer.
That is amazing.
I had tweeted that. All right, I guess I mentioned the show. When Leo was trying to find something, and then he finally did find it, I said I imagined there were Googlers saying, "Yeah, Leo, no, Leo, yay, Leo." That's what came. It's the greatest. They give credit for who took the picture there.
Jason Cornwell.
Thank you.
And
brilliant.
Jason, I presume, is on the Inbox team because his Twitter icon has a giant Inbox logo icon in his hands. So. And there it is.
If you read the little name tags there, I think that's him. It's his desk too.
Yeah, the bearded guy. So pretty sweet.
I'd be really impressed if they took a picture of this on the screen.
Yeah, let's do Inception. Can you take a picture of this?
Keep going.
Of us looking at you, looking at us. David Pogue, the Jerry Lewis of technology reporters.
And welcome to What Is That Thing? The show where we ask you, what is that thing?
How do I go full screen?
Is this? What is that thing?
What is that thing?
A, B, C, or D?
The answer is E, none of the above. It's the new Apple Mac Pro, available now, starting at the high price of $3,000 and going up to $9,500. This computer is crazy fast. Look at this. In Final Cut Pro, it can munch this 4K video like butter. That's 4 times the resolution of high-def TV. And it's made in the USA. It's portable, one-handable. Expanding the memory is super easy. The shell pops right off.
Oh, the music's going to make me shoot myself.
The jacks light up when you move it.
It's like Benny Hill.
It's super quiet.
And no one who's watching this is going to buy it.
But it's not like the old Mac.
Oh, that's all right. They still have to
put drives and cards inside.
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad it looks like this. This is good. If there's a market for this, all the better. It's not our market.
Not your market at all.
Thank goodness.
Gorgeous object of art might wind up surrounded by mismatched clutter and gadgets. Apple says careful. Real pros who work in film editing and music recording.
You're going to drop it. You're going to drop it, man. Then we're going to see you crying. I love how he had to unplug.
And this is why I'll never be David Pogue. I just don't have the damn energy. That guy.
He had a lot of jump cuts working for him there, Leo.
How does he do it? Changelog is coming up next. Gina Trapani. Put your changelog hat on.
Will do.
Your changelog scarf.
What do you call it with the lips? The embouchure? No, the...
umbrature?
No, what do a trumpet? What's that called? Chat room, what's that called? What?
Umbrature.
Umbrature, is that what it is? Get your umbrachures ready, people.
Well, no, that's your...
Yeah, because it's trumpets. Sorry.
You know, really, I'm sorry, but when I hear a tuba, I just see a guy going into a big tube.
But at least that catches the spit.
Is that in Twitter?
It's in the chat room.
It's in the chat room. So that's kind of interesting. Ben did this. I think Ben did a little illustration of what this show is reminding him of. Ben, can you put glass on the old man on the left? Yes, we are. Oh, yes, here it is. Thank you, Ben, for an updated image.
Thank you, Ben.
Oh, we got complete with glass, too. That's good. That's good. Very good. Ben.
Now, that's Photoshop wizardry. I like it. We used to make the joke, the paperless office. That'll be here as soon as you get the paperless bathroom.
Bathroom, yeah.
I have now a paperless bathroom.
Do I want to know this?
I
really want to know this.
The Japanese toilet.
Get out of here.
It works. So maybe it is time for the paperless office.
Oh, visuals. Oh,
I know. I shouldn't bring it up. Okay, changing the subject. Changing the subject. Somebody in the chat room said, next thing, Google buys if this, then that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Totally, right? And
Good
then
way of connecting things.
Hue lights. And then...
Hue lights I don't get at all.
Oh, I love the Hue lights. Better than my Nest.
Hues are pretty cool.
Okay, so here's an application, Jeff. There's an application on the iPad and iPhone called Exoplanet that notifies you whenever another planet outside our solar system is discovered. You set it up. It has a little button that the hue light then changes to the color that it looks like on the surface of that planet, depending on the sun that the planet's in, the solar system.
Oh, man.
That's
off the... That's
something
nerdometer.
I don't know how anybody ever existed without that. Sorry, Matthew.
Yeah, no, that's
beyond. The geekiest thing I've ever heard.
Off the nerdometer.
Off the nerdometer. I like that a lot.
Nerdometer needle is like spiking in the red now.
Hue lights are very nerdometer. Very, very big on the nerdometer.
I don't think I've heard of these. These are just smart lights?
Philips makes them. They're not that expensive.
A huge amount of money out of you. That what's makes smart about them is that they rip you off for how much money?
$60 a bulb.
$60 a bulb.
Well, what? No, wait. They're LED lights. Now, admittedly, LEDs have gone down. You can get them for $10 now. But and I'm sure these will go down at the same time. Philips is rapidly reducing the price of LEDs, but LEDs are expensive, but they're 10,000-hour bulbs. These are RGB LEDs, which means they can make any color at all from this light. So much so that you could take a picture with your smartphone, put it in the Hue app, click a part of that picture and say, light bulb, you go to that color. It can literally...
Wait a second. All right, maybe you'll stop me for one thing. Can it stop me from looking pink?
Yes. I guarantee you.
Now we're talking.
So for instance, I have a picture of a moonlit night. I put it in my Hue thing and I said, okay, bulbs, I want to be a moonlit night. And you feel like you're literally in the moonlit night. Cool. You can also use if this and that with it. You can set alarms. You can say, for instance, I want to slowly wake up. I want the bulbs to ramp up starting at 6 a.m. to give me a sunset or a sunrise in my bedroom. You can have daylight, you can have nightlight. Now, admittedly, this isn't that practical, and there are some strong negatives. For instance, as I discovered, if the power goes out and then comes back on, the Hue lights turn on full bright. And so in the middle of the night, I'm lying in bed, and suddenly, good morning, because I have a lot of them.
Take me to the light.
And
how many do you have?
9. And then I reach for my phone because I know what's happened. Oh, God damn it, the Hue lights came on. And I'm starting to open the app, and Lisa just reaches over and flips the switch, which was actually the right thing to do.
I feel like you live in the kingdom of modern marvels, Leo,
yeah.
between your toilet and the lights. And
Living in the future.
Okay, the toilet. Now, don't listen. Cover your ears, Jeff.
You got to do it.
Cover your ears. So you get up, you go into the bathroom. The toilet goes zzz to welcome you.
Does it play a song or
no? This one does not.
Now there's the creepy line. Bingo. We have found the creepy line.
And then the seat is warm. It's heated.
Warm, right?
Very nice. Never sit on a cold toilet seat again. And the water is heated.
See, wait, stop there. When I sit on a warm toilet seat, it's because somebody. I know. Somebody was on it.
This is a clean warm.
Like a clean warm, a fresh and clean warm. It's sanitized.
Like 59 years of visceral response.
You sit down, the fan goes on because it has a carbon-filtered exhaust fan in the bowl so that everything is exhausted out. And then when you're done, there's front and back washers. They oscillate or pulse or any combination thereof. It's warm. You set the temperature. It bathes you.
A wiper blade of any kind?
Yeah, no.
It's a modern bidet.
It's a bidet. There's no touch. Okay. No touch. Okay. And then it has a nice little blow dryer. So after you're done washing, you press the blow dryer, it goes, and it dries you off. And then you stand up, and then you walk out because the toilet automatically flushes, the seat automatically goes down, it sanitizes, and it's ready for the next person.
All right. We're gonna have a Howard Stern moment here.
No.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Does it deal with dingleberries?
Yes.
Oh.
All right.
It's a very powerful thruster.
Ooh.
I don't want to go too far.
Show title.
All right.
It's very pleasant.
So on the Howard Stern
down,
show,
gotta go.
There's no brushes though, right?
No, there's no physical. So I realized what it is. I suddenly understood this after doing this. See, you have to use the Nest. You have to use these things to get it, right? And to get the pros and the cons. And one of the things, you can't just, and this is why reviewers sometimes miss the boat. They try it for a week. Okay, I get it. And they go on. You got to live with it. So what I realized is the Japanese don't care so much about butt cleanliness as they do about not touching anything. Mm-hmm. So what this really is a toilet where you could walk in like this and not touch anything.
Right.
That's the point of it.
Well, because we've gotten to the point you don't touch in public restrooms. You no longer touch the water faucet. You no longer touch the paper towel dispenser.
That's what this is.
Then of course you use your hand on the damn door. So.
Right. So the idea, and I think that they're probably right, is it doesn't really matter how clean your butt is. It matters how clean your hands are.
Is the blower like the ones in the airport where it's like 8,000,
No, it's not a Dyson.
Yeah, the Dyson, yeah.
Well, you know what I want? I want a Dyson in my shower. I just want to go zzz around and be dry.
Yeah.
I hate getting out and being cold while I dry off.
That's a good idea, actually.
They have those, actually.
do?
I don't think I could stand the sight of the flapping flesh, though. Like, it always freaks me out on my hands.
It does, yeah. I think it's going to come off or something. You see your
So,
flesh rippling,
Leo,
and you're
this
like,
is
oh my
so.
God.
Let's just. This is yes or no. This is an acceptable level of cleanliness for you when you're
Yes.
done. Yeah. You
Yes,
feel
it's
this is-
acceptable. You don't go, God, I wish I'd. And of course,
Now, while we're
you
on
could supplement
toilet
it.
technologies, 2 from the Howard Stern show. One is poo-pourri, which
I have poopery. It's.
Oh, really?
Do not buy
There's a whole
poopery.
side of you that I didn't know about.
Okay, how about the squatty
You must.
potty?
This is sounding like I am so anally fixated. I am not.
What about the squatty
No,
potty?
and in
Leo?
Japan, you're just describing a normal toilet.
I am
This
normal
would
for
not be
Japan.
an
This
unusual
is a Japanese
description.
toilet. Yeah.
The squatty potty. Yeah, I've heard about that.
No, poopery doesn't work. So the whole theory is that it creates a barrier in the surface of the water. It's just fragrance, very, very, very strong fragrance, and it does not have any magical properties.
Robin Quivers says she carries it with her.
Yeah, because she smells like flowers everywhere she goes.
All right, so that's that one.
The theory of it sealing out the
odor.
That's, but it does. It's a very strong deodorant because it smells like whatever flavor you got, and it's very, very strong.
Oh. So there's the squatty potty, which Howard now swears by.
Oh, so this is an image I don't want.
Yes.
I reviewed it on Gizwiz. I reviewed the squatty potty on Gizwiz.
Oh,
is that the one that where you're? So it's not that you're. It's not a. It's not a hole in the ground that you squat over.
No.
It raises your legs up so your angle is better.
It's a step stool for the can.
Which is supposed to
when
be
you're sitting.
medically better.
Which is ridiculous because all it's doing is bringing your knees to your chest to make your organs all fit together.
Yeah.
All you have to do, instead of spending $30 on a plastic
Stand on
thing,
the toilet seat.
No, lean forward.
Oh.
If you put your chest towards your knees, it works. Just lean forward. Don't buy a squatty potty.
What have we done
There
to
you go.
Twig? What have we done?
I'm really glad I didn't miss this episode.
I did say at the beginning of the show, it's that we talk about Google and whatever the hell else we want to talk about.
So we're covered.
We're talking now about a cloud of poop odor.
Oh God, this show stinks.
Smart homes got to smell good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nest, thank you very
Okay.
much. How is Think Up going?
Think Up is going great. We demoed it last week at New York Tech Meetup, which is a
How'd that go?
huge organization. It went really, really well. I was worried. I heard it was a really tough crowd.
It is.
And they were really good to us. The demo went well. It
The
was really
video's
good. I was
up?
actually- the video, yeah, I'm not sure if they chopped it up into individual demos, but the video of the entire meetup is up, and we were up against like a sex tech section
A what?
that was like
A what?
smart vibrators, and
I was there.
Smart?
You were there.
I was there. I didn't realize that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, wow.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
So,
no, it was really fun.
What do you mean, up against smart vibrators? What do you mean? What is that?
It's a really complicated concept.
Is it a competition?
Well, so the Tech Meetup is a series of demos from various tech companies in New York, and there happened to be, and it was actually the first ever, it was a sex tech section at the end of the night where they
It was
asked
in
the
honor
young
of
tech-
Valentine's Day, coming up.
was it? Was it?
Yeah,
Yes,
sort of a
Cindy Gal-
February event.
Yeah, so basically you go up and you demo in groups of 2 or 3, and we actually the other company that we demoed with was Lendo, which is a micro payment loans company, and they actually got a ton of questions as well. But it's a really fun. It's a huge event. It was really intimidating, but it went really well, so I was happy with it.
Mazel
And so thank you. Yeah, Think Up's
Wait.
going really
We
well.
still got to hear more about the sex tech, Gina. You got male geeks out here. You're not satisfying their needs.
Yeah.
Let's hear
yeah.
one stupid sex tech item.
I am so biting my lip right now.
There was a demo of a smart vibrator, and I forget what the name of it was. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Sarah, you remember. And
I'm not going to.
She's trying not to.
I'm going to tell you that I don't remember.
It's okay.
Chat room, what would you name a smart vibrator?
Testosterone, says the chat room.
Let's just say it's remote controlled wearable tech, and that's all I'll say.
It was designed by someone who was living in Boston, I think, and his wife was back in Singapore.
Oh, you mean
something like
over
that.
the internet?
And so she can help to. He can help her achieve an orgasm with the
with the app.
With the remote vibrator.
The internet.
It was a riveting demonstration.
It was.
There's no meaning to the word latency. I got to tell you that.
I have to say the demo, like the guy who demoed came off like he was so earnest. He was and like really was like I really.
It was a devoted husband trying to help his long distance wife. What are you going to not like about that story?
Wait. Is this Vibes?
Yes, that's it. That's it. Check it out.
Whoa!
All you girls out there.
It's only
I know there's 2 or 3 of you.
There's a video, Chad. I don't know. We dare.
So wait a minute. So there's no. Don't show that. So there's.
My favorite moment of the demo was a point at which he said, "And we even talk to women about."
Oh well, it's about time.
And I thought,
it was a little, there was sort of a bit of an anticlimactic moment, if I may use that term, because they announced at the beginning, they said, okay, anyone with young people, children under the age of, X, you really need to leave the room now because we're going to have this special sex,
Imagine listening to 50 Shades of Grey with a hands-free vibrator.
That vibrates in perfect sync with the audio fantasy.
So there's an audio fantasy?
Yes.
So you don't need the husband?
No, that's what I'm saying. You can be 3,000 miles away.
No, but you don't need the husband at all.
Well, he's talking over his iPhone.
No, but there's a video. There's a fantasy. There's an audio fantasy.
Yeah,
that's the fantasy that you don't need the husband.
Yeah, there were a few different options.
Yeah, you could.
You've been replaced by a podcast, honey.
You could choose different paths. Aren't you the one who's interested in paths?
There's more. There's more than one way to do it.
Not to in any way overshadow Think Up.
Well.
You see what she meant when she
even with this, you did well. Yeah, this is great
competition.
This is what I meant by being up against some tough. It was a really tough night to demo, honestly.
Well, that's important. Yeah.
It's wait. It's way. Oh no.
Oh no. So no. That's
seen too much.
So
it's wearable.
It's 100% hands-free experience.
It is indeed wearable. It's wearable tech.
I think I'm just about to get fired for being in a unpleasant work environment.
The dean is here. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Jesus.
Dean.
I didn't mean for this to go so.
Well, it was the topic of my next
fault,
faculty
Gina.
meeting. Now you've blown it for me.
There's an app for it. That's what's I think kind of interesting. It has an app, Android or iOS. I'm surprised Apple approved that, to be honest. Seems like that's something Apple wouldn't approve. They don't believe in people having sex.
I think they had some problems with it, actually. And then, yeah.
It was part of the discussion was like how do legitimate consumer products that are related to sex deal with, things like App Store policies and even just getting payment processors and different web services.
Sure.
A lot of the companies just won't work with them.
I bet they only have problems in the U.S., though. I think in the
No, she said globally they have a problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Not in Germany.
Not in Germany.
I think she was saying, there was a woman who, I forget her name, who came up afterwards and was quite passionately, annoyed about how the financial world was sort of shutting them
we're
down.
anti-sex. Yeah.
Correct.
Cindy Gallup.
So,
that's right.
A lot of negativity about sex.
Especially by bankers.
So it's all the more impressive that you did so well, Gina.
Yeah.
That's a tough act to be on stage
let me ask you, how's Think Up doing?
Think it's going really well, Leo. Thank you. We demoed last week. It went awesome. We're going to open up sign-ups to the public in the next couple of weeks. It's going really well. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
And damn you, Jarvis. You couldn't let it slide, could you?
Well, not only does it slide. Well, no, that's
just today, Google released a new Android app called Device Assist. It offers live tech support, troubleshooting, tips, and more. The catch is it's only for Nexus, Google Play Edition, and Android One devices.
I have it installed. I can show it while you talk about it.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great. So in addition to offering quick access to Google support, the app detects issues with the device's setup, makes suggestions on things like GPS, connectivity, and battery settings to improve overall performance. It gives you it's like proactive troubleshooting to help you sort of get the most out of your device.
This is like tips.
How's it looking to you? How's it looking to you, Jason? Do you get like a live Googler on the line? Is it like the Amazon?
Well, so looking for help, send device information to Google for improved technical support. See Google's. Okay, sure.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm about to do here.
Are you about to launch a help out?
Okay, so you can
request a call back.
You can request a call back. Provide a backup number if you can. Phone issues will be easier to solve if we can call you on a different phone.
Hey, wait. Is it illegal to call them right now and see what they do?
Yeah, of course it is.
So you're telling me to do it then?
Yeah, see if they call you back. See how long it takes.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah. Really? I have to enter information.
Your phone number?
Google, don't you know this about me already?
It's an app on your phone. It didn't ask for access to your number.
Oh,
Cover it.
That's
Oh,
really weird.
Oh, yeah. Now I feel like we're putting you on the spot here, Jace.
Describe your issue. It's only optional, so I don't have to actually describe my issue, so I won't.
I'm live on a Google-related podcast, and I'd like for you to comment on device assist. That's my issue.
Right now, someone's calling someone at Google saying, "Get ready, here comes Jason."
Yes, exactly. We want to call really, really fast, all right? We want everyone to know that this works right away. So I guess I would just wait and see then, and I'm sure at some point I'll get a phone call, and it'll buzz on my wrist, by the way, so I'll really know when it comes through. Detected issues. I don't have any issues on this Nexus 6, so apparently I'm good. But it also has this tips column for, and I think this is actually a really good idea because so many times things inside Android are just kind of buried. You just kind of have to discover them or know that they're there or long press something randomly and, oh, hey, I didn't know it did that. So this is good. This is really good.
Like having our little Gina Trapani there telling us what we can.
Yeah. It should be called the Trapani tip.
Yeah.
You know, I went to one of the things we do in the academy is we observe our colleagues and write memos about it.
By the way.
Oh really? Oh, go.
This is Jason. Oh, here, hold on. Oh, it's.
Thank you for contacting Google. My name is Tom. Am I speaking with Jason?
Wow, yes, you are. How's it going, Tom?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing well, thanks. Looks like you set up a call with our new Device Assist app. That's pretty awesome. What can I help you out with today, Jason?
I have to be completely honest. I called, A, to see how fast you would call because, you know, I'm very curious. I think this is a great feature. B, I'm doing a show called This Week in Google where we talk all about Google things, and you're on the air right now, so you're famous.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Jason, I really appreciate that, man.
And we're in the house.
And, you know, that callback only took, 30 seconds, 45 seconds? So I'm super impressed. It's really cool. Great service you guys have. I just wanted to call and see how it goes and appreciate your time. Sorry to bother you.
What are some of the first questions he's getting? Has he got any questions yet?
Hey. So before I let you go, what are some of the kind of first questions you're getting? Are you getting a lot of these kinds of questions, or are you also getting actual service support questions?
Well, my shift just started about 10 minutes ago, so I haven't really gotten many calls yet. You're actually my first call of the day, so, you know, I guess it's yet to be determined what kind of questions we're going to be super fielding.
So your first call ever doing this is live before thousands of people.
How much training did he have?
How much training did you have?
Oh, this poor guy.
A few weeks.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Are you in a nice warm place or in a cold place?
Are you in a warm place or a cold place? That's Jeff Jarvis, one of the hosts on the show.
I'm in a cold place right now. It's real windy and rainy today.
Well, that's not fair. They should be moving you to California.
My brother.
You are in California, correct?
Yeah, Northern California.
All right, so then we're experiencing the same weather. We're up in Petaluma, so we have it right out the window as well. Hey, don't want to bother you, but I really appreciate your time, and you know, check out This Week in Google. You're on it. So.
All right, well, Jason, I'm real glad I was able to help you out with those questions today. I just want to let you know at the end of the call here, there is going to be a real brief customer support survey asking for any feedback you might have on the support you received. I understand if you've got the time that you need to take for the show, so I'll go ahead and get you transferred over there, and I want to thank you again for contacting Google, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Right on. Thank you so much.
We got to give him good grades now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll give a good grade while you continue on with the changelog.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I enjoyed that. That was fun.
I want to call it the her. I don't want to.
I do too. I'm going to say.
Let's just call it the her.
Maybe just say hello, Scarlett.
What was her name? I forget now what her name was.
Samantha.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That might. No, that might borderline a little creepy if you called the phone Samantha.
I would like it because actually, if it had Scarlett's voice, because I don't know how you feel. Siri's voice I've gotten used to, but the Moto X Google voice is strident. I'll give you an example. Let's get out of this. Let me think. What am I going to do here? Hello, Moto X. What's the weather in Petaluma?
Unlock your phone to continue.
It's just a little, I don't know, a little strident.
It's 78 degrees and overcast in Petaluma.
Siri just seems nicer. You disagree?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
No, the voice is it's still a little robotic. I think it's difficult to get it, kind of softer. But I haven't used Siri in a really long time.
Well, you want to hear Siri these days? I think she's sounding a little bit better. I forgot what I do to start saying. Oh, I have to press a button. By the way, I have to be careful on the shows now, because if people have their iPhone hooked to the power and you say, "Hey Siri," it will actually wake her up and she'll start doing stuff. How long is the Golden Gate Bridge?
Golden Gate Bridge is 8,981 feet long.
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 She seems friendlier.
Yeah, she does. Interesting, and her voice is a little lower. Now we got to get Cortana into the mix, but
I actually like Cortana's voice. So my Windows phone is in the other room, so I can't. But I actually like. You have it there. There goes Danny. He's gonna get.
There goes Danny. His Bing board.
Can I update? I can upgrade the voice on this, right? I can download better sound.
So you need to have celebrity voices, right? Like you.
That's a TomTom. I used to have. I used to have great celebrity voices on my TomTom. I had
my TomTom one versions I had was great because you could have you could put your own voice, and I had my kids do all the turns. So they'd be like, well, "Go forward, make a U-turn."
Daddy, go forward, Daddy.
Actually, whenever I would have to do the U-turn, because that was usually a sign that I was lost, it would say, my wife would go, instead of saying, "Do make a U-turn," it would say, "Why don't you pull over and ask directions?"
That's good. I like it. So let's hear Cortana. You got Cortana?
Oh, yeah. Okay. What do you want her to say?
I don't know.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear. It.
Oh, it doesn't have a speaker?
Yeah, but I don't know if you can hear it through my headset.
Oh, just put it right up there.
All right, hang on. There we go. How long is the Golden Gate Bridge? Oh. How long is the Golden Gate Bridge?
I like the musical tone.
It'll take 6 hours and 51 minutes to drive to Golden Gate Bridge.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Oh,
it says it'll be 6 hours to drive there.
All right. That's not too long. Let's go.
It doesn't sound at all like Cortana in the game.
6 hours, 5 minutes or so.
No.
They should have gotten Cortana from Halo to voice. I'm like so disappointed because I love Cortana and Halo. So, and I know this is like a different Cortana, but I wanted the voice to be the same.
Ask Cortana what she thinks of Siri. Does she say anything about that?
Oh, she's got a whole series of things that she does. Like
that's one thing that both iPhone and Apple and Microsoft do is there's some personality.
What do you think about Siri?
Hard to say. So far, our conversations have been kind of one-sided.
She's great. I mean, there's inflection. Of course, that was pre-recorded. So that's another thing that Microsoft's doing, which is intelligent. These canned speeches, and this is obviously one, are treated differently than synthesized speeches.
Yeah.
So it does sound. That sounded great. That sounded great. Morgan Freeman would be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, someday. Ask who Bill Gates is married to.
Oh.
Who is Bill Gates married to?
Bill Gates is currently married to Melinda Gates.
Well, I don't like that currently part.
I like currently. Like right now, this is the answer. But
I'd fix that. I'd fix
abilities.
I would fix that. Holy cow. Jiminy Christmas. Well, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now...
right now, things are good with Bill and Melinda.
Just another thing, who is your father?
Technically speaking, that'd be Bill Gates. No big.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Danny Sullivan. He does such a great job. And it's so much fun to be on this show with Jeff and Gina and the many guests that we've had on, including Kevin Marks, Matt Cutts, Danny Sullivan, Matthew Ingram. It is, I think, one of the best shows we do on the network, and I hope you watch each and every week. You can watch live. We do it every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 2100 UTC on live.twit.tv. But if you can't watch live, you can always get on-demand versions at twit.tv/TWIG. Twig. Cool, huh? If you can't download it there, you can always subscribe. In fact, that might even be the best way to get it. There are lots of ways to subscribe. Use your favorite podcatcher: iTunes, Xbox Music, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or one of the great Twit apps. We thank our developers. One of the things we're really grateful for in 2014 is those great independent developers who've made Twit apps for us on iOS, Android, Windows Phone, Roku. You guys are the greatest. Thank you. And I invite everybody to pick one and download it and install it on your smartphone. Put us on the front page so you never miss another episode. Thanks for being here. I wish you and yours the happiest 2015. Don't forget our New Year's Eve party, 3 a.m. New Year's Eve to 3 a.m. New Year's Day. I'll be up 24 hours. We'll be saying Happy New Year to every time zone in the world. We've got lots of acts and fun and bands, and there'll be a electronic bull and a bouncy bounce, and I don't know. It's going to be crazy. Please tune in 3 a.m. New Year's Eve to 3 a.m. New Year's Day. And if I don't see you then, I'll see you in 2015. Happy New Year from all of us at This Week in Google. Bye-bye.